Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Look at that. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. Hey, hey, hey. It is Motivating Monday, Momentum Monday, and it is your girl, Katrina Harris Earl. You are listening to We Got Issues and the Force of Friendship. I promise you today, I think of all the Y words, the one we are most consistent is messy. I promise you, we will be messy today. We'll be funny today. We will be laughing today. We will be happy today. Today is Motivating Monday. And, the one with the last name that goes with the day is the one who's the messiest of all, okay? She was messy before we got on. We have so much fun. And we had a great weekend. And this last week was just a phenomenal week for all of us. I got to spend a lot of time with my girlfriends on the show and off the show. And we thank you for listening every day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. We thank you, whether this is your first time listening or whether you have been with us since the beginning of time. We appreciate you for hanging with us. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up. And I'm telling you, who would have thought here we would be? So we thank you. Today we have another great show, and we want you to call in and lean into this topic. Don't let no stop you, because we're going to bring the motivation every Monday. And today we're going to motivate you again. So this is kind of part 2 for me, because last week we talked about failing forward, but that big word no, oh my gosh, it never feels good. But it's a complete sentence. So you got to learn to use it, and you got to learn when others use it to you to not let it stop you. We're going to talk about that. But of course, we always kick it in with hot topics, And it's a whole lot going on in the world. The news never disappoints. And our text is blowing up with news. Everywhere you look, there's news. So let's check in with the girlfriends and see what's happening for them. Lady Chrisette Ellis, looking fly and fabulous. We love the hair, different hair every week. Okay, every day. Only she can do it. She owns the patent on that. And that necklace, we all would love to hold it. So go ahead and tell us how you are doing in the D.
Hey, everybody. I am doing good. And when I tell you it is cold in the D, I mean a deep cold. It's been snowing all day. Literally, all the snow that we should have gotten for Christmas came today. I know, Gloria, close your mouth. All the snow that we should have gotten for Christmas came today. It is just white. Literally, my snow have had to be shoveled twice over the last couple of days. That's how much snow we have going here. It's a lot of snow. So it's cold here, but it's all good. It's beautiful. You just wrap up. I know Sabrina's trying to get used to it, but it really is beautiful. You guys, I didn't watch a whole lot of news on today. Had a lot of Zooms and that kind of thing today. But you know what? I really want to learn about, and somebody can explain this to me. I don't know if any of the girlfriends outside of Katrina knows more about this, but I have no clue when it comes to Bitcoins and that currency and how that works. They were talking about that. I did catch that part. They were talking about a lot of people lost a lot of money that invested in the Bitcoins, and they were talking about whether or not it's going to stay around for a long time. And the feel I got was kind of like it's not regular currency. It's almost like, I don't want to say play money, because people have made a lot of money from it. So you know what? I am totally open to learning about that, because from what I hear, some people have done very well. But again, that's played a lot in the news today. So that is definitely going to be a show. Let's talk about Bitcoins and how, you can make money, or whether or not we should stay away from that. So that's all I got on today. I'm excited to be here on this wonderful Monday with my girlfriends. Gloria looking beautiful in that chartreuse turtleneck. Okay, and you know what? What
the
happened
rest
to
of the world is
Sasha?
called
What
green,
happened
but the
to
corset
Lux?
is
Honey, what happened to Lux? Gloria, where's Lux?
Wait,
She must have had
Lux,
a long weekend. Did she have a long weekend?
she did, because Lux would have known
You're
this was
muted,
chartreuse
Glow.
as well.
We can't hear you, baby.
Huh? Oh, I said Lux would have known that this was chartreuse as well. So, I'm totally confused. Gloria thinks this is green. Lux knows that this is chartreuse. Chris knows it's chartreuse. And everybody else just thinks it's bright. So, you know what I'm saying? Everybody around here is confused, but I'm so excited. Well, first, let me say this. This is news. I didn't know it was snowing all day in Detroit. Because when it snows in Detroit, that's snow. Like, that's snow. There's a couple of cities where when you hear the word snow, like when the people of Detroit say snow, that means that's really some snow. Everybody else would call that a duster, but that's snow. When they say it's snow, that's a lot of snow. So I didn't even know it was snowing like that. I'm haven't been like totally on the news, except not to be Debbie Downer, but we're in a world, we're in troubled times right now, with all these police officers, firemen. I just got a Twitter from Baltimore. We just lost 3 fire department captains, 3 today.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's
From
really
fire?
How, Gloria? You lost them.
How?
killed.
Firemen?
Killed.
Or police? Firemen.
Baltimore Fire Department. I just got the tweet. Just. Our hearts are broken for the entire Baltimore Fire Department, as 3 of our bravest have fallen in the line of duty. That just came from the governor.
Wow.
The little girl out of Chicago. So it's a lot, you guys. New York is on fire. So it's a lot. So I'm glad to be here with the show so that we can think about some other things as well. But, we do have to address some of the things that are really happening in our life, because it's affecting all of us in one way or the other. It affects us if you know it. It affects us if you're breathing in some of that energy. It definitely affects. But today I'm here, and I don't have any snow out there, and I'm excited about it. It's chilly, but that's okay. I'm going to go work out after the show, because I got to get it in, because I'm going to Mexico, and I don't want to be the overweight lover in the house. And Lux is probably going to go with me, okay? Yo, back to you, Sabrina.
Oh my goodness. You just go, Glow. Go get your workout in. Yes. When I tell you, I just don't want to bore you guys. It's so much snow here. It's just a way of being. And so I just been giving myself a pep talk. I've been looking at Rio. Rio's looking at me saying, Mama, it's crazy out there. I don't even know where to go. If I got to go outside to do what I got to do, where do I go? I said, I don't know. Don't look at me, but you're not going in the house. We have to figure it out. When I tell you, you guys, we had a foot, and then we had another 6-7 inches today. And it's so incredibly beautiful. It's so incredibly beautiful, but I never knew. You guys know I used to live in Boston, and I never knew that, Northeast Ohio, somebody says, has always gotten more than Boston. I didn't know that. But honestly, you should have seen the boots Kenny went out and bought today. He's like, I got to have me some snow boots. My cute boots ain't working. He went and bought these big old, I ain't never seen no boots like them. Okay. And so he says he's ready now. So I'm not going to keep telling snow stories, because that's just where I am. That's where we live. And I have to get used to it. It's just what it is. So I said I'm going to stop talking about it. But Chris brought it up. So here I go for my snow tales. Lots of news, you guys. Oh my goodness. The Supreme Court will consider challenges to affirmative action at Harvard and UNC. I mean, when we get to this point where they are challenging African Americans being admitted to these universities because of the color of their skin, we got issues, y'all. We got some serious issues. And so we're going to spend a whole show talking about that when we need to. I mean, a clause was abandoning consideration of race. That's what they want to do. Abandon the consideration of race for college applicants at Harvard and UNC. Now, Gloria, you went to Harvard. My son went to UNC. The acceptance rate is minute for African Americans. Right. And so we got issues. It is
a critical change, because I was in admissions for Harvard Business School. And I promise you that if things are not in place, there will be so many talented, amazing people not only looked over, but they won't even apply, because that going to the Supreme Court in and of itself is a message to the community that this is something that's not important to everybody. So that is their first place where they want to go, is to change people's thoughts about what it should look like and why do we still have it. And then you look out in the world and you understand why we still have it. I mean, we still have it. I mean, there's going to be civil war where Russia is going to take over Ukraine. And this is 2022. So issues that were issues 10 years ago, 20 years, 30 years ago, they are still very important issues. And this issue about race in only 2 premier colleges, which makes everybody else all that way.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Absolutely.
And be clear, this is not, we're not talking about people who aren't qualified. We're talking about folks that are overqualified and you just take race into consideration. It is not, folks try to twist it up like that. We letting you in because you Black. Don't get it twisted. That is not the case.
Nobody getting let into Harvard. Let's be crystal clear.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've got a lot to talk about coming up. And then President Biden had a hot mic today, called a reporter out of their name. And so that's not good. That's not good, President Biden. You got to know that. And tomorrow we have an award-winning journalist from the Washington Post who's going to join us, and we'll be able to talk all about it. So go ahead, Chris.
Sabrina, I was just going to add, it's going to be really interesting. And I didn't hear that piece. I'm going to listen for it later tonight. It's going to be really interesting to see what they say about President Biden. When we know when President Trump was in, he said everything. If it came up, it came out. And the more he cursed, the more he called people out of their names, the more he disparaged people that had disabilities. They were Trump. He could say anything and he received a pass. I'm not saying that what President Biden said was right, but I just want to see if it's going to be a different standard for him, because it is all this time that he has been in and now it's up on his year. You haven't heard him have a slip up or whatever, but I just want to see what station, is going to really try to call him out after we went through 4 years of anything and everything was okay that came out of our president's mouth. I'm just saying.
Right. Paulette said, I totally agree. That's what she said.
Me too, Paulette. Me too.
Totally agree. Oh my gosh. We got a lot. And Chris, when you said about Bitcoin, we're going to do a show on that. That's bottom line, is this decentralizing the bank, taking it out of the hands of just a few people. And so we're going to talk about that. We got a show coming. When you talk about this snow, we need to do climate change again, because the whole thing that talk about when the weather happens later, like it throws everything off, because the hummingbirds are looking for food in spring, and spring comes late. And so we got to do another show, y'all. We got issues. Somebody even said I got issues and I'm fuzzy. So, I'm just being consistent with the name of our show. So when we come back from the break, we are going to be talking about the word no, you guys. The average toddler hears the word no an astonishing 400 times a day. according to experts.
Wow.
That's not only tiresome for you, but it can also be harmful to your child. According to studies, kids who hear no too much have poor language skills than kids whose parents offer more positive feedback. Plus, saying no can become ineffective when it's overused, a little like crying wolf. So we're going to talk about, what do moms do? Let their child run amok without any limits? Not in most Black households. Okay, that ain't happening. Parents can break out of the yes-no tug of war by coming out with some new ways to set limits. And so we're going to talk about just no. No didn't feel good as a toddler, and even as an adult, it just doesn't always feel good. But let's be clear, if your mama hadn't told you no, we all probably would have drowned, burned, and and got hurt in many ways. So we're going to talk about it when we come back. No,
hey, Katrina, we're going to tell Rhonda that we're going to also talk about Regina King. We definitely going to talk a little bit about Regina King as well. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Rhonda. Absolutely. Let's go to that when we come back from the break. We'll be right back, you guys. We'll be right back. Yes. So many things have held us down. That is an anthem. That is an anthem in so many households. Ain't no stopping us now. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But oh my gosh, Rhonda, thank you for bringing this up. I have to say, and I consider it a compliment, everybody kind of has somebody in Hollywood that every once in a while they get mistaken for. The only person I've ever gotten called when we switch our hair up all the time is Regina King. So I have to say, when I got that news, I love her, love everything about her. And it just hit me some kind of way because I've been called her before or told that I resembled her. And so, girlfriends, we want to first pay tribute to her son and just talk about that just unparalleled loss. So who wants to chime in?
Yeah, it's just hard to articulate the feeling because we all know families, we all know challenges, we all know what it's like to look one way on the big screen and another way in the reality. You never know what is going on, but you do know one thing for sure. She loved him deeply, and she is going to be hurt for the rest of her life, and her ex-husband as well. I mean, it's just going to shake the family. And then you think about how challenging these young kids are having it. We call them kids, but he's 26 years old. How challenging they must have that they find no way out, or we don't understand, or mental challenges aren't talked about enough so that we can do something. And what light is going to be shed on the world, because he was such a bright light and his light went out way too soon. It's just it's amazing, because Regina is at some of the best times in her career, some of the best times in her career, and something so snatched from her. It's there's no words for it. I was just saddened. And I loved the tributes. Everybody was putting out tributes to her. So that was very precious.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, Gloria, I will add to
Can't
that,
hear you, Chris.
Mental health is so important, and it's absolutely something that we got to continue to talk about. And I think slowly but surely the stigma behind mental health is starting to leave. And so really paying attention, and I'm not saying that she wasn't, but we have to pay attention to our young people. You know, I can't even imagine what Regina is going through right now. And so I know we definitely want to continue to lift up she and her family. You know, I think when things like that happen, and all of us have had situations that happen, and you kind of think, you know, could I've done something differently? Did I miss something? I mean, the 101 questions that I'm sure is probably going across her mind. It just is a reminder that life is fragile. It's a reminder that today can be the happiest day of your life, and one phone call can be devastating and devastate you for the rest of your life. And so I'm so glad that she has a support system. I believe that she is, especially in the Black community, she is one of our most beloved actresses. I mean, everybody that I know always picks Regina as one of their favorite actresses. And so I just hope she feels the love. And I truly know that she is, you know, she's often have mentioned God. And so I'm just grateful that she knows God, and things like this are situations that only God can give you the peace and touch your heart. So I'm just glad to know that she does know the Lord.
And we wanted to say his name, Ian Alexander Jr. And so may he rest in peace. I was having a conversation with a girlfriend about perhaps seeking out a child psychologist for her 2-year-old, just talking about how challenging COVID has been. It almost brings tears to my eyes. You know, 2 children, one child chooses to go back to one child, the parents choose to go back to school. And then another child, the parents choose to keep them home, and they're best friends. And now those 2 kids cannot play together because this parent doesn't want the other child around them because they're perhaps being exposed at school. And so these little things that kids are going through now, you guys, I mean, I just think about how much it is getting to us. It's just so challenging. Last week was very, very challenging for us. And just think about what the trauma, the permanent trauma that it's putting on a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. So we can't talk about mental health enough. And of course, for the parent, I cannot even imagine for a mama, and even for his father and the rest of his family, how challenging it must be. So we truly are praying. For her and for them. So thank you, all of us. And I think this is a time where we talk about social media, and we know, I don't know her personally. I don't think any of the girlfriends know her personally, but I bet you that what she is reading on her social media is keeping her lifted up, you guys. So go ahead, and at some point, whether it's now or in the future, I think we can still go there and just send her love. And we know that prayers, you don't have to be in the same room with someone for them to feel your prayers. So lift her up. And it's just it's a tragic. No way to talk about it. No way to talk about it any other way. Yvette said even special edition children are having a tough time. Yes. So it's just a sad situation. And so we're gonna talk about this. It kind of ties in. I'm going to stay on the toddler thing and give you one more thing, because part of what happens in a person's childhood can make a difference in what happens in their adulthood. Can you guys remember, I know we all grew up with, both of our parents being in our lives, we grew up in a positive household. And how did that maybe play a role in you not being so afraid of hearing no now? I know for me, my father just kept saying, you can do it, you can do it. He just said that to me. I can remember him saying, I can, more than I can remember him saying I can't. And I know there's a lot of people who don't grow up in that environment. Right. So how did that play a role in you not letting no stop you? Would you say?
Well, I will tell you this. I saw my mother plow through so many people telling her no. I mean, to the woman at Saks Fifth Avenue, if she said it was on sale, and the saleswoman said, no, it's not on sale. She says, no, it is on sale, and you can go check. I mean, my mother did not take no from anybody. Wow. Like, I don't care what it was. She didn't take no from us. She didn't take no from anybody. And it was an example. And then when my sister was competing gymnastically at a time when they did not want a Black child to represent the U.S. team with puffy hair, Afro puffs, my mother was like, no. And then she became a coach, not a coach, but a judge. And she would call them out. So I just saw her refuse to take no's. So that no was just a part of the process. When I grew up, it was just part of the process.
I mean, listen to this about Jay-Z, you guys. From an early age, Jay-Z had a knack for rhythm, but his meteoric rise to stardom didn't happen overnight. He was faced with several roadblocks along the path to ultimate success. For example, in 1995, did not know this, when Jay-Z tried tirelessly to strike a record deal, not a single label would sign him. It led him to establish his own record company. After being turned down by so many labels and eventually starting up his own record company, Jay-Z worked tirelessly to strike a distribution deal for his first album's release. Eventually, he was successful, but many, many failures. Another story that I've heard so many times by someone Black folks are familiar with, Colonel Sanders, y'all. People know him because of his iconic white suit and his bow tie. Colonel Sanders was the founder, of course, of Kentucky Fried Chicken, now KFC. Yet he got a rocky start. In fact, it wasn't until age 62 that he set out with a $105 Social Security check in hand to pitch his chicken recipe 1,009 times with his $105 Social Security check. At the fact that he was getting a Social Security check just let you know he heard so many times. The story about Michael Jordan, we've heard it. He was not able to stay on his high school team. Can you believe that about Michael Jordan? He made the team at North Carolina and became a star college player. And then, of course, we know he went on and the rest is history. And speaking of Sidney Poitier, changed the way African-American people were perceived in the film industry when he won an Academy Award in 1963 for his role as Homer Smith. But when Poitier was first starting out as an actor, he auditioned for a role and ended up flubbing his lines. His Caribbean accent was so thick that the director stopped him and told him he was better off getting a job as a dishwasher. The rejection propelled him to work harder. And at that hard work paid off, of course, we know, because everybody knows his name. So I wanted to ask the girlfriends, what is something that used to be hard for you? Like it used to not be easy for you to do, but you plowed through it. And as a result of plowing through the no's, it now gets easier. Either the no's you hear from other people or even the no's we hear to ourselves. No, I can't do that. And for me, honestly, it was working out. That's one thing. I mean, I was like, I ain't got time. But I'm telling you, Walter was like, here's a 10-minute workout. Don't even try it. Roll like this. I used to tell myself, no. And so I'm not really sure when it switched, but at some point I just made the switch and said, I cannot go into much deeper into the 5-0 stages without moving this body in a different way. So Chris, what was it for you? You talk a lot about how you overcome your fears and how you get to the point that no doesn't stop you.
Right. And you know what it is? I think that we are, as you said earlier, Katrina, we're conditioned to the word no. I mean, we've heard it growing up. And I think, being the environment that you are in, as you get older and the exposure that you get and the training that you get. I would say, yeah, probably for me, it was for a lot of people is rejection, and rejection doesn't feel good to anybody. Nobody wants to be rejected. But again, knowledge is power, and that's why we're bringing this show today. I think when you want something bad enough, the no will be not as great as you wanting to attain the success that you want. So I had to learn literally how to feel the fear of whatever I perceived was going to be that no or that negative thing, and do it anyway. And what was really interesting in the no is that the more you do it, it doesn't sting as much as it did when you first started receiving the no's, because by that time you start seeing the benefits of still plowing through in spite of, people saying no.
Absolutely. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about no. And I'm going to turn to someone we respect, Dr. Carolyn Leaf, and talk to you about why it is so important you learn to break through the no's, because it literally can affect your mental and your physical health. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. Stay tuned. It is Momentum Monday, Motivating Monday with your girls, The Force of Friendship on We Got Issues. We'll be right back. Yes, when Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. And that song, hearing Michelle sing that song, Beyonce in the background, I mean, just think about Destiny Child, how many times they probably heard no. And now, everybody, their household names, even if you don't, wherever you are in the world, everybody can say Beyonce, Beyonce. So hearing that Eve is so important. When Jesus says yes, no one can say no. So that has helped me so many times. When you hear no, if you have a calling for something, if you know this is what you do, if you know you make the best, do the best, that this is what you're called to do, you just have to believe that sometimes no is good, because closing a door gets you closer to the right door. And so we're going to do a whole show talking about this. One of Chris and I's favorite books, Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Carolyn Leaf. Promise you we're going to do a whole show on that. But these are just some things, because when you hear no, it's like, what do you make it mean? That's one of the things. Does it make you feel defeated and like a failure and like you can't do it? Or do you just say to yourself, okay, well, no is there. You see some people come on Shark Tank and you think they got a great idea. And then you listen to those sharks and they like beat them down. And it's like, dang. And some of those people have gone on and have had amazing businesses. 75 to 98% of mental illness comes from your thought life. So that's deep. So when you hear no, do you take it negatively? The association between stress and disease is 85%. No, when you want to, when you're going to buy your first house and you hear no, sometimes you got to go. It's not always the first lender that tells you yes. Listen to this. 80% of cancers are due to lifestyle, not genetic, and 98%, and they're related
80%.
to our thought life. 80% due to our thought life, dis-ease that can come from just hearing no. You got to get over not letting other people's stuff dictate how you feel. And every single cell in your body is affected by your thoughts. Every single cell in your body is affected by your thoughts. And she talks about it's either toxic or it's love. Like there's only two thoughts. It's either love or it's fear. And it's just either that. And in your brain, they either show up as these green cells or they show up as these toxic looking trees. And so just talking about no, have you ever been told no? Heard a coach tell you no? Didn't make the lineup? Somebody told you you're not good enough. You can't do this. You can't do that. I sit here as an AKA. I was told no the first time. It's all good. But I got through almost everything that I've had some stuff happen easy, but so much of the things that we've achieved, we've been told no. So somebody give us an example of something. Did y'all all get into your first college? Did you all get into the job you thought you wanted the most? I wanted to go to Stanford, wasn't accepted, went on, did well. Okay. I did well. I heard no, didn't let it stop me. I didn't apply just to one college. It must not have been meant to be because I know I was smart. So think of a time that you heard no and you didn't let it stop you. In business, how about this? For me, a relationship. I was told no so many times. I told no. That was my man. I just knew that was my man. I knew it was, and I am so glad. Boy, I'm telling you, if them tickets had said yes to me, I would have had a situation. Because I guarantee you, I'd be sitting up here as your divorced girlfriend. Okay, so no, it does not fail. I know one of y'all had no in a love affair.
Yeah, for sure. I think no.
If you didn't have no, you didn't have no love affair, right?
No's take you to your bigger yeses, right? No's take you to your bigger yeses. And I think that if you've lived a life of all yeses, you haven't done a whole lot. You haven't asked a whole lot. You haven't tried a whole lot. And so I'm so grateful for all the no's in my life. We don't like no. Nobody likes to walk around with a sign that says, I love to be rejected. No, don't make you feel good. But I think early on, I learned to not take no personal. It's okay. Seriously. My mom and dad always said, try again. You fall down, you get right back up. If you fall down, you don't stay down. You just go try again, whether it be in sports, whether it be in business, whether it be in relationships. Oh my goodness. And sometimes that might not be good, because if it was a failed relationship, I was on to the next boyfriend. Okay, that one didn't work. I'm going to give me another one. Okay.
Dorothy said that the Ring doorbell security was rejected by the Shark Tank. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Ring doorbell.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
so no means it's on. I've always said if they say no, I say next. If they say no, I turn it to it's on. So I really think it's programming that mind to not internalize no and to work around the no. I'm so grateful. Like I think you said, Katrina, thank God that God protects us. When he says no, I believe that's a protection. I ain't for everything and everybody, and everybody's not for me and my stuff. So I think it's the attitude about the word no.
And you know what? I was just
we are not. Yes, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, along with what you're saying, Sabrina, is, you know, what the point that I've gotten to that really helps me. I always just say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And so that pushes me out of my comfort zone when I'm thinking, if I say this or ask that, they're going to say no. But the flip side of that is there got to be a yes in there somewhere. So to me, I always look at it as, if you don't ask, and even the Bible tells us we have not because we ask not. And isn't it amazing how when you think about all the successful people, many we admire, they have gotten the most no's than anybody. And we admire them, and we know they are where they are because they didn't let no stop them. And so sometimes, as we talked about the alter ego and channeling someone else, sometimes you just think about all of the people that you admire and how they are where they are. They are successful because they didn't let no stop them. And so for me, no just means next opportunity. Next opportunity. You say no, it's a next opportunity.
And go ahead, Gloria.
Now, I was just going to tell this story about one time when I got a no. I felt it deep. I was all dressed up. I was looking all good. I was at the gas station. I had a fur coat on. I got out of my company car. I just knew everybody was going to tell me yes. This lady gave me the longest, hardest no I've ever heard. No. It's like, no. Like, when I tell you no, I mean no. And I was like, oh my, you know. But that's when I learned that I had to teach myself and teach other people how to get over the no's and come to the realization that she didn't even know me well enough to tell me personally no. She was telling the situation no, but she wasn't telling me no. So there's a lot of lessons in no. My kitchen tells me no every day. Every time I try to cook something, it's like, no, you're not the one. Where's Ken? No, I get a lot of no's.
And a lot of times people think that no feels better to certain people, like you get over it. It never feels good. It never feels good. You just learn to process it and make it mean something different. Speaking of famous people, you guys know Jack Ma. He owns Alibaba, I believe. He's the richest, one of China's richest men. He was rejected by Harvard 10 times. That dude applied to Harvard 10 times. Wow. And they rejected him. He even applied for a job at KFC and they told him he wasn't qualified. Okay? And he founded the China Yellow Pages. Okay. I mean, one of the richest men in China. And he couldn't even get a job at KFC. So get comfortable with no. Bill Gates, you guys know he gave up Harvard and he was accused of stealing Steve Jobs' idea. And we hear Jeff Bezos, of course, all right, probably many people gave him some money today. He was rejected. He hated physics, wasn't good at physics. That's what they told him he should do. He didn't. Had a first company that failed. He also was declined jobs that he applied for with Bell Labs and Intel. We hear so much about Oprah Winfrey and some of the challenges she had in hearing no along the time of her life and how it catapulted her to another level. And so I'm going to give you guys a couple of tips on how to deal with no. And today, ironically, this is what I'm doing today. I have carved out time and I am making a new goal poster today. Yep, we do goal posters and we never get too big for them. I think the difference is now I make mine a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and maybe do some stuff to it. But I'm telling you, it's just get it up there. And so you got to write your goals down and then you got to put a visual up. There is a reason that they pay so much money for advertisement, visual advertisement over just audio advertisement, because you have these 5 senses and you got to sell you on you. So write your goals down. It's really important. And I like to also think about what would get in the way of this goal? Like, how would I sabotage it? Because sometimes the person that tells us no is us. Okay. So how will I not sabotage this goal? Another thing is, of course, don't give up. No matter what, keep going. Even if you are moving at a small pace, and you feel like it's a snail's pace, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. You can't. A lot of people want to have it overnight. We live in an overnight society, but if you just do a little bit a day, you'll look up and you will be way down the way. And just saying to yourself, "I am enough." Period. I'm enough. You're enough today. Remind yourself that you're enough today, and this is a journey. Today, sitting on my couch, this new couch I have in my office has kind of turned into the couch everybody comes to. So Anthony is on the phone. He leaves his office. He comes and sits down on this couch, and I listen to him talk to one of his spiritual sons who said, "I failed. I failed. I failed." And I listened to him talk to him. You didn't fail. You're on a journey, and you're taking another step on the journey. So that's another thing is who do you talk to? Because some people will tell you, "Yeah, you a loser." And others will tell you, "Girl, you're just getting started." Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, more from the girlfriends on how they have not let no stop them. Think of a couple stories, you guys. And how about you call in somebody who heard a big fat no? Lorna, Rhonda, Mardise, Wanda. Somebody call in and tell us how no did not stop you. Thanks, Michael, for not telling me no. Take us to a break. We got to pay some bills, and we'll be right back. Keep on moving. That's a classic. Okay. Can we just talk about how music can help you get over a no? Okay. You can put on your song. I always have a worship song and kind of a fast song, a dance song that is kind of like my mantra for that season, that when I feel like, ooh, I gotta go. Keep going, keep moving, keep moving. So I just totally love that. So I want to ask the girlfriends, thinking about no, what would be some of the things that you would say to our audience when you get stuck? We have all built successful businesses, and when you get stuck in a no, I mean, it's easy to just say keep moving, but what happens when you feel like you just are stuck? You keep hearing no, you tried this, you tried this, you tried this, you tried this. Like, is there ever a time that you have pivoted and said, okay, that wasn't for me? Or like, what about when it's really, really hard and you've been stuck in a no?
You know, I want to talk about what I've done for myself when I've gotten stuck. And what's worked the best for me is to put my body in a place where it's going to be shifted by the people around me. If I can't shift myself, I will, you know, sometimes when you go to a great church service, sometimes when you go to a great meeting and you don't even participate, you just sit over on the side and you just being in the space of other people's energy, other people's joys, other people's possibilities. When I've had my worst, most discouraging time, it is because I didn't sit alone. Now, for me, I know that aloneness for me is not good. It's not, there's nothing about good. I don't even know how to spell anything but introvert. I definitely can't spell. So I know that the most important thing I have to do is put my body in the space where it can be energetically changed by the energy of other people.
Tony Robbins, I'm a student of his, and he talks about that a lot, about physiology. One of the things when you're stuck, just literally moving your body and what happens in that brain connection is really, really a big deal. We are so grateful to have Carolyn calling in, and Carolyn said yes to calling in, so I didn't feel rejected. I appreciate you, Carolyn. And so we're going to hear from you, Carolyn, about what your thoughts are about anything we've talked about today. Are you there?
Yes. Good evening,
Hey.
ladies. Thank y'all for the form. Hey, listen, no has really never bothered me. I don't know if I'm just different from other people. No has never bothered me. If they tell me no, I'll be like, okay, and I go on. But I learned a valuable lesson from my youngest son. He would ask me things when he was younger, and I would say no. And he would ask me again, and I'd say no. And he'd ask me again, and I'd say no. I say, Larry, why do you keep asking me? He said, I thought if I kept asking you, you will eventually say yes. So that was a valuable lesson for me to always ask and ask again until I got a yes. So I don't really think that's good. I don't think it personally. I just like that's their decision, and no doesn't bother me. So I just want to thank y'all again for this platform. I love this.
Thank you. You know, Carolyn, as you're talking, it makes me think of Les Brown. I mean, I can't remember his story exactly, but you know how he went and sat outside that man's office like for months or years or however long. You know that story? Hearing him talk about that? It's just like at some point he got to know. I mean, that no turned to a yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. What a great lesson from your son. So I appreciate you calling in, Carolyn. Thank you for being such a yes person to us on our show. And keep on sharing. I appreciate it. Cassie says that she pivots. And thank you.
Listen tomorrow when we have another great show. Cassie says she has to pivot and press through. That's a big thing, is pivot. Dorothy says, unfortunately, both of her parents had told her no in disparaging ways. I'm still to this day working hard to eliminate their negativity from my mind and future, which is very, very, it's like, wow. I wanted
But how do we do that, Katrina? But let's talk about that for a minute, Katrina. You know, when your brain is trained, when you were a child, you were programmed to believe certain things. And it takes work every day to get those thoughts out of your head. And so, like you said, it's easier said than done. And so what are some exercises we do to train the brain to think a different thought? I mean, it's affirmations. It's what do you say when you talk to yourself? It's even if early on in my career, because in sales, we get a lot of rejection. Early on, we used to have a pillow, a radio speaker that we got from Radio Shack, and where you could tape an affirmation and you would go to sleep with that, with your voice or somebody who you admired saying positive things to program your brain. And so I'm telling you guys, that self-work is real work. And if you don't do it, you will suffer for many years. And so let's work to train that brain that has been damaged and programmed to think bad thoughts about yourself. Let's work to change. Chris or Glory, were you going to add to that?
I was going to Yeah, I was going to add to that, Sabrina. That's one of the reasons why when we mentor people and we meet people who are so down on themselves, it's just a reminder that you never know, how many times they were told that they couldn't do something, or how many times they were told no. And so it's just a reminder for us that, building them up and letting them know that it doesn't matter how many no's you received in the past. There is a yes coming. So I love this topic because it just reminds us where we have been, but how far we have come, because we have dared not to let the no stop us.
I can't emphasize enough how Dr. Carolyn Leaf, in addition to the book, she has an app that's actually called Switch. And it's not just, this is not just airy fairy. This literally is based on all of her research as a brain specialist. And the good news is the brain is neuroplastic, which means it can change. It's a physical structure, but it changes based on what you're thinking, feeling, choosing, eating, and more. And so I'm just going to share with you 5 things she says, and you want to read her book, grab that app, and really it's going through this. We say it takes 21 days to make a habit, but it's actually 63 days. So she teaches it's 3 cycles of 21 days, and you literally can re-change a negative thought in your brain. And she has you go through exercises to look at what is your biggest repetitive, like a cassette tape that's just playing over and over that has held you back. So number 1, she says, gather. First, you have to gather awareness. You can do it in a multitude of ways. She suggests meditation, breath work, even a mindful diet or exercise can prepare your brain for the work ahead. You ask yourself, what am I thinking? What are my warning signals? What is this nagging sensation that keeps going on in my mind? And you can go through these exercises only 7 to 10 minutes a day. And so she talks about the emotional weight that you need to limit yourself to doing this a little bit every day. Number 2, you reflect. The second step, says Leaf, and this is LEAF for our listening audience, is deliberately asking yourself why questions. Become focused on what you're trying to learn, be it managing anxiety, schoolwork, prepping for an interview, whatever it is. Sometimes people push it back down, and you have to gather again and go back to the first 2 steps. She says this inner work, as Sabrina said, is not easy. When you're writing down your thoughts, you're able to achieve cognitive fluency and quite literally get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper, which is an important process in managing anxiety. Otherwise, you're pushing the thoughts into your body and into your cells. You got to get it out. That's like deep. Okay. This is an important stress helper. Step 4 is reconceptualize. Look at what you've written. How can you reframe your thoughts into a possibilities mindset? Take the sting out of your emotions, says Leaf. See it differently, so your story builds your resilience. That way, you'll feel agency over your thoughts rather than feeling overwhelmed by a wave of emotions. And lastly, number 5 is called active reach. I've studied this a lot. I have to keep reading it so that I can understand and if you prefer to listen, you can listen to her rather than read. She's got all kinds of podcasts. The last step, according to Leaf, is to take what you've written down and reconceptualize and discover a simple action you can do each day that those thoughts creep up. And she goes on and on and on about how to do this. 7 to 10 days. And what I love about it is she takes the scripture, as a man thinketh, so is he, and she shows you how to put your worship and your scripture on top of that. This is how you were made. God said yes to us, and you have to learn to say yes to yourself. Thank you so much for listening in. Tomorrow, Sabrina, what's the show tomorrow?
Oh my goodness, we have award-winning journalist Deneen from the Washington Post. When I tell you she has written and interviewed some of the most amazing people, I mean, she's gone to the Antarctica to study climate change. I mean, she's done it all. And she just got back from Africa. So it's going to be a great, great guest. So tune in tomorrow. Yes, yes, yes.
Tune in tomorrow. The book is Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Carolyn Leaf, but you can Google her, podcast her, YouTube her, just grab some of her great work. We hope that she'll come on the show one day. Have a great day. Bye-bye.